Well, hello, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Our next trolley stop is here, and our next trolley stop is now. Welcome back to another all-new episode of PR from the Heart's Children's Book Spotlight Series. To be precise, we have reached episode number 191. That is the 191st trolley stop here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series as part of PR from the Heart's holiday season celebration. My name is John Masiulionis, the manager here at PR from the Heart and the host of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. Actually, stand corrected, co-host, because I got my little faithful furry companion, little Forrest, who joins me as always for every Children's Book Spotlight Series episode. We hope that all of you are having a blessed and a magical holiday season as the countdown to Christmas is very much on indeed. As we take the time to slow down, yes, that is going to be one of the anthems, not even just the themes of this week's Children's Book Spotlight Series, this particular trolley stop, but it really is something that we'll be mentioning several times, hence an anthem and not just a theme. And let us channel, if we can, our inner Ferris Bueller. You remember the beloved classic from the 80s, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where Ferris quoted and said, "Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it." Ferris was a wise man. He was a very wise soul indeed. And during the holiday season, we can find ourselves, and just in life in general, we're immersed in the busyness and the hustle and bustle. Raise your hand if your to-do list is very long. And I'm sure we're all raising our hands. Pete's raising his hand. I'm raising my hand. Little Forrest is raising his paw. Well, actually, Forrest, you really don't have much of a to-do list. You just sit there and you just do your thing. But leave it to a brand new children's book, a beautiful children's book that is hot off the presses to remind us of the simplicity in life, to really help us remember that the little things mean the most. When you take the time to slow down and savor everything. Oh, I love that alliteration. You slow down and you savor everything, that life really can be enjoyable, even delectable, just like a scoop of ice cream. I love how things flow here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. We encourage all of you, our listeners and viewers, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars, and for those who love creamsicles, by the way, there's a reason why I just mentioned creamsicles, to head on over to the official website of our featured guest here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. We've included the official website for children's author Peter Schnell in the description, in the copy below. You can also head on over to Amazon.com as well and leave a 5-star review. One of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Peter is by leaving a 5-star review for his brand new book, The Simple Scoop. And I'm really excited to be able to connect with Peter. Little Forrest and I are as the trolley heads all the way from San Diego. It's got the heaters on because we're going all the way to the East Coast, to the beautiful state of Maine, joining us here for his first time on the Children's Book Spotlight Series to talk about the release of his brand new children's book, The Simple Scoop, is children's author Peter Schnell. Peter, happy holidays to you and your family. Thank you for spending some quality time with Little Forrest and I in our neighborhood. How are things with you today?
Things are great, and thanks for having me. Yeah, we got some snow in Maine just last night, so we, it was kind of fun to go through out there and shovel it out a little bit and get it off our cars. But it's that time of the year when we start to do that.
I'm hoping that you're enjoying the snow for the both of us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As you know, I spent the majority of my life in Buffalo up until 3 years ago. And so it is a little interesting when it's December and, the temperature isn't cold and there isn't snow on the ground. But definitely this particular book that we're going to be sharing, your story, which is amazing, is definitely going to warm the hearts of all of our listeners and viewers and those who are tuning in this week throughout the holiday season. And of course, for those who are watching even in 2024, it's one of the beautiful things about being a member of the PR from the Heart family via our official YouTube channel. If these messages that we are already sharing with you, simplicity, slowing down, savoring the goodness of life, if all of these messages are resonating with you, and if anything you say, you know what, the Simple Scoop is making me hungry, I think I'm going to check in the freezer to see what kind of ice cream or non-dairy flavored or non-dairy frozen treat that you want to be able to enjoy while you're enjoying Pete's conversation with me, we encourage you to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel. That is one of the many ways you can pledge your support for us here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, for PR from the Heart, as well as, Pete, you can join the more than 8,000 members of the PR from the Heart family on YouTube. Peter, you know what? It's long since been said that we don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. Many of us, we make life way too complex than what it needs to be. I can raise my hand when I share that. One of the things that I always love learning about whenever we have someone who joins us for the first time on the program, there's always an origin story. There's always a story within the story. And we're obviously going to have the time to talk about the book and dive into the pages, because it's just, I'm getting hungry just talking about the book indeed, right? Could you share with us where it all began for you? Because I would love for you to be able to share a little bit about your own courageous journey, because technically this is actually your second children's book that you have out, and you've overcome quite a bit to be able to get to this particular point in time. So before we talk about what inspired the Simple Scoop, could you share with us really when it all began for you, where you knew that your messages for children, that these books of yours needed to be able to be shared in the process? When did you first know that you wanted to become a children's author?
I think it was started when I realized that at some point in my life that I would become a father. I knew that my sister was going to be having a baby soon, so I'd become an uncle at some point. And fortunately enough, that both those have happened. My son was born in September, and my niece is about 2.5 years old now. And part of the goal for me is to kind of be as much of a role model to them as I possibly can. And there's many different ways where kids learn, whether it's viewing, whether it's a role model or reading something. And I did want to kind of express any sort of message that I could in writing a children's book. I mean, I've always liked drawing. I like writing poetry, and try to kind of combine the two was important to me, as well as, viewing some of the illustrations that they see and getting along with the message, which was kind of a goal of mine to do. And I have overcome quite a bit health-wise, and I think some of those messages are relatable to a number of people out there, a number of children out there, as well as something we as adults can learn too from such a simple idea and story.
Agreed. And it's always, if we bring in the spirit of our favorite neighbor, Mr. Rogers, he always said that it's such a good feeling, and he would share that in different ways, shapes, and forms, when we're following our life's purpose and we can utilize the experiences that happen in our lives, and we can use those to give back, to help, to serve, to support others. That's definitely a good feeling. It's really interesting because it feels that like messages come into your life in the perfect time. And I know for a long period of time that I used to be able to try to have quite a bit on my plate, as well as overcomplicate things, so to speak. As the result, whether we're overcomplicating things or when we're simply just moving into something in our lives for the first time, a la becoming a children's author, a la becoming a father, we can experience challenges, difficulties, obstacles, problems, stressors, troubles, worries, you name it, we can experience them. These messages came through. You knew that you wanted to be able to not only be a children's author, but really make an indelible impact, a positive difference in the lives of children across the country and around the world. And obviously this being your first time that you have done this, right? And stepping into becoming a children's author, a good majority of our audience in some way, shape, or form are connected to the kidlit community, or they're entrepreneurs, or they simply want to try something new for the first time in their life. What are some of the specific challenges and difficulties that you moved through on your path when you knew that these books had to come out, even through the process of writing, publishing these books? What were some of those specific challenges and difficulties that you experienced? And then what were some of the things that helped you to get through to the other side of those? Because obviously you've got both of your children's books that are available for everyone to enjoy right now.
Yeah, I mean, when I first wrote my first children's book, which regards open heart surgery, which is kind of a bigger topic than something I had undergone at a very young age, I knew that was kind of an interesting and unique story, and something that a lot of people maybe not be able to relate to, but also I think there is quite a few number of adults and children who undergo heart surgery, and that was kind of a good way to start the story. And pretty much what was the challenge of it was making sure that it was you handled the situation very delicately. I know that some people undergo, whether it's a medical diagnosis or a surgery or an accident, and sometimes talking about it afterward can be a very touchy subject. So it was making sure that I was touching on a very serious topic, but also handling it in the most gentle way as I could. And in regards to the simple scoop, that was I got kind of the idea of when my son was born, that he was born at a time where Halloween was coming up the next month, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year were all happening so quickly, back to back to back for the most part, and just kind of taking the time to slow everything down. While at that time it was a very, challenging time to get it acclimated to my new life and sleep schedule and everything. But I think the challenge is making sure that you're figuring out a message and a story that can be relatable to a number of people or a very select group of people. But the big topic, or the big point of that, is making sure that you're handling it in a very gentle manner to get your point across, but also making it relatable and fun to read.
I appreciate you sharing that. And of course, even though we are talking about the simple scoop, we want to show some love for the zipper as well. So we've included the link that you can actually purchase your copy of the zipper through barnesandnoble.com. So again, if you wish to be able to purchase your copy of the zipper, barnesandnoble.com is your destination. The link below that we provided in the description below, the copy. And then if you want to purchase your copy of the simple scoop, you can head on over to amazon.com. Again, one of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Pete, to let him know that he's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love great children's books. Leave that 5-star review for the Simple Scoop on Amazon. Leave that 5-star review for the zipper on barnesandnoble.com, and follow along on Peter's journey on social media. We've included his social media links below as well, so you can continue to follow along his amazing author journey, post-children's book spotlight series episode as well. This is kind of something that it's kind of like one of those questions like, why are we here? Or what is the meaning of life? Before we dive into the pages of the Simple Scoop, I'm curious to know this, maybe just from your, being a fellow human, so to speak, and being a father as well, too.
Yeah.
Why do you think we take things way too seriously? And it's kind of like, in many respects, it's like we treat life like a VCR or a DVD player, where it's like we press the fast forward button and we want to just fast forward through all of the stuff, whether it be good or bad. It's the way in which we perceive things. Why do you think that we don't take the time to enjoy the simplicity of life more than we should?
I mean, that's a great question. I think a lot of times throughout our whole lives, from the time that we're able to develop those decision-making skills to our elderly years, that there's always decisions to be made, and there's always an accurate choice or a right choice, and there's always kind of like the kind of going towards your gut feeling, and you always kind of have to make sure that you're making the right decision and you're making the right choices. And whether you're going to college, or you're picking a career path, or you're looking for a place to live, or a house or a state to live in, or where to travel, there's all these different ideas of what should I do next, or where should I go next, and what's the most efficient way to go to the next step. And sometimes we kind of get caught up in everything, especially when the holidays come around. It's like you have family that you want to see, but you also have to make sure that, is the house taken care of? Are what am I going to do with the animals while I'm gone for that time? And there's all these decisions to be made. And I think sometimes the holidays can kind of ramp up everything and stress people out. But I think throughout our lives, we're always going through these decisions and choices. And sometimes you get overwhelmed, and sometimes life can get very stressful. And sometimes it is just important to kind of step back a little bit, take a breath, and figure out, take things slowly and make the right choice, and kind of analyze it a little bit to making sure that you're going with the right path there.
And literally going with the flow, as the expression goes, because
Exactly.
If you ever notice that when you're in the flow and you're going with the flow, there's more peace, there's more calm, there's more tranquility. But when we're trying to change we're trying to force things or control things or subconsciously manipulate things, it doesn't help, because if anything, we feel worse off in the process. I firmly believe that children's books are meant for kids, but they're also even more so meant for adults, because we all have the inner child that still lies within us. And I feel that, again,
Right.
not even just during the holiday season, but any parent who is juggling the 65 things can really benefit from the Simple Scoop. Now is the time, our favorite time here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, where we flip the pages open, where we crack the cover, I should say, and then we flip the book open and we dive into the pages of the brand new children's book that we are sharing on said episode of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. In this particular instance, episode number 191. It's literally a simple story, but it's a sweet story at the same point in time. And of course, we color coordinate here on the Children's Book Spotlight Series, because again, we were talking in the PR from the Heart Green Room how the both of us enjoy a little creamsicle every now and again. When children of all ages enjoy the Simple Scoop, could you share with us a little bit about the story without, we never like giving away the whole kit and caboodle, as the expression goes, on the Children's Book Spotlight Series. So could you share with us the sweet story of this little boy that's on his journey to realizing so much while remembering just to keep things simple at the same point in time?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of goes back to, when I was a kid, and I think many of us can speak on this topic and this experience, that you hear the jingle of the ice cream truck going around, and you kind of run towards it and you try to stop it before it gets too far away, and you cross the street, and then you get there and you kind of look at all these different choices, and you're kind of just standing there almost with a blank face of like, what do I choose? And you could choose anything you want, but it's just a matter of kind of making that decision and kind of telling the person, hey, you know what, I want this, or this sounds good to me at this time. And that's kind of what the story entails, is this boy kind of viewing this list of flavors and toppings and accessories pretty much for different ice cream flavors, and not really knowing what to do next, and kind of making a judgment call of like, hey, you know what, I'll go with this. This seems like it's the best, and turns out that's what he chooses, and that's what he is happy with.
If I may mention one passage from the story, and I think these are words that all of us need to remember now, not even just during the holidays, but really as we navigate the rest of our lives moving forward. And it's towards the end of the book. So remember the story when you're faced with choices so wide. Sometimes in life's busy messes, simple choices are best to guide, especially when we're experiencing some shadow that we're experiencing, or if we're moving through some perceived darkness. It's always good just to be able to keep things as simple as possible. I also love the fact that you weave in poetry into
yeah.
Was there really any sort of again, different books can be written in different ways, but you chose poetry. Was there something about poetry for you tying into ice cream and the sweetness of that? Was it something completely different? I was just really curious to learn about why you wish to integrate poetry as part of the Simple Scoop.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's a parent reading it or, someone of age that's able to kind of, get that reading comprehension skills down, I think it tends to flow a little bit better. And that's my opinion. I think as you kind of read this, and as I've read like many children's books, sometimes they don't rhyme, which is great, and it's fine, and people have different ways of writing. I always read one line or one sentence and then start to read the next sentence, and kind of when it doesn't rhyme, it kind of just throws me off a little bit. And that's my style of writing, is I like to kind of have things rhyme and then try to make it flow in a nice way and try to have the right amount of syllables. And so when I choose these words and sentences, I try to make sure that as the parent is reading it to the child, or the child is following along with the words, that it is easy to flow, it is easy to comprehend, and it just sounds good coming off the tongue, and as well as looking at the illustrations almost at the same time. So it's a combination of different things coming together in a right way, and kind of just being really appealing to the eye and to the ear.
Thank you for sharing that as well, too. We also wanted to give a shout out to Serenity Quinn, your illustrator, really bringing this book to life. What was the experience like working with Serenity? Because obviously, again, when you're doing your part to write a book about ice cream and simplicity, it's important that you're using some lighter colors, just lighter energy, so to speak. This isn't necessarily like a dark, dense kind of book. It's actually quite the opposite. When you first began working with Serenity, what were some of the specific things, the energy of the book that you wanted to have be emitted to children, parents, grandparents, caregivers, families, whoever enjoyed your story? What were some of the specific energetic components, if you want to say, that you wanted Serenity to be able to blend into her artwork and the illustrations?
Yeah, I think whenever I'm writing the poetry, I always try to make sure that I'm writing it first before thinking of the illustrations, because once I have all the words and the grammar correct and the flow of everything, it becomes a little bit easier for me to figure out the angles, literally and figuratively, of how I want the illustrations to look. And sometimes when I'm describing, hey, this is what I'm thinking for the view, here's what I'm thinking of the perspective, here's what I'm thinking of, what the image is able to capture, it is sometimes challenging to kind of describe that in a way that's clear to someone else. And, because when I'm looking at it and I'm reading it, I have that picture in my mind, and sometimes it is difficult to express that to a real life image. But she was very responsive. She knew exactly what I would do. And I would give, small descriptions of like, hey, you know what, this is where I want the angle to be. Here's where I want, here's what I want to be in frame. Here's the colors that I think would go well with it. And she would send me back something. And sometimes I'd say, can we brighten it up a little bit? Or can we change the angle a little bit? Because as soon as I see it, obviously when you're seeing something physical rather than your mind, it might look different. But she did such a great job on it, and she almost got everything perfect. And that's the way it was, it made it easier for me. It made it easier for her, because sometimes there are illustrations where you look at, you're like, oh man, this is not what I think it would look like. And she did a great job on capturing the angles, the colors, and really just the emotions of each illustration.
And I'm really glad that you touched upon the emotional thread, because again, I can just envision, like, I remember when I was in grammar school, and like one of the highlights is, we always had like parents, like, I know that my mom and my dad were there, so my friends' moms and dads were there. We had the lunch monitors, and they would always man the ice cream cooler. And inside the ice cream cooler, there were the Skippy cups. And the Skippy cups and the ice cream sandwiches, when you had that opportunity to have that sweet treat, it was just like you would be on cloud nine. But again, like even just like you envision, like it's like that childlike wonder. And when you're an adult, you go back to that time when you had your favorite ice cream. And for me, it was cookies and cream. Obviously, there's more healthier versions of frozen treats that are available, right? So everything is good, always in moderation. But just the emotions that kids connect with, as you said, like when you hear the ice cream man, or when you say, hey, you can go to the store and you can get, your favorite ice cream. What do you want? Like the excitement the kids have. It's almost like it's the feeling of kids enjoying Christmas when they know they're getting ice cream as well. Right. We're beginning to wind down our time with our featured guest here on episode number 191 of the Children's Book Spotlight series, Peter Schnell. We encourage all of you, our listeners, our viewers, our friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars. You may be wondering, why did we shift from the orange shining star to the red shining star? Well, because we want to be able to share some love to Peter's debut children's book, The Zipper, which is now available through BarnesandNoble.com. Such an amazing story. If you want to have a little bit of a sneak preview as to really what's contained within the book, Bo is a young active boy who loves playing outside and spending time with his friends. One day, Bo learns that he was born with a heart defect and must undergo surgery. After recovering, Bo feels self-conscious about the scar on his chest, but soon he gains his confidence back. So if your little one is moving through some sort of similar issue, or even is just navigating through some sort of a health challenge in any way, shape, or form, if you're really looking for a courageous story to be able to share with your little one, or even just for the little one inside of you, BarnesandNoble.com, that's the place to head. We've included the direct link to get your copy of The Zipper. We've also included your link via Amazon to place your copy of The Simple Scoop. By leaving a 5-star review for Peter, you can pledge your support, letting him know that he's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books. For all educators across the country, we've included Peter's official website below, peterschnellauthor.com, so that you can connect with him to facilitate your own author school visit for the 2024 school year, because obviously we still have got January, February, March, April, and May. We still have 5 more months of the school year. These messages really can benefit your students. So if you feel guided to be able to connect with Peter, to continue the conversation, post Children's Book Spotlight series as well, we've included his social media platforms below, Facebook and Instagram, and what we like to refer to as the artist formerly known as Twitter. That is called X right now. I still can't get used to calling Twitter X, so we call it the artist formerly known as Twitter, that is now known as X. The message of simplicity you share on the back cover out of your book. When we discover the joy of simplicity, we really learn that happiness is often found in appreciating life's simple moments. That really is the medicine to many of our challenges in life. It's not to say that it's the answer to everything, but you'd be surprised if you just take the time to do that, you'll be able to see how often things can find a way to work themselves out. Why do you feel that it's important that we either adopt or we at least be more open to the mindset of less being more, and to enjoy the simplicity of life on those two threads? Why do you feel that that's important, maybe now more than ever before?
I think there's just a lot going on in the world, whether you hear it in the news or, the local paper, or, something personal is going on. There's so many things that are stimulating everybody, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And, sometimes all those different emotions and feelings and can kind of become overwhelming for people. And that's when it's really important to just kind of take it one step at a time, because, stress is an incredible thing, especially when, this time of the year where it's, especially in Maine, when it's getting a little bit colder, the lights, the sun's going down a little bit earlier. And sometimes that's just a difficult time for people. And taking the time to just really enjoy one thing at a time is incredibly important. And it's such a huge part of what makes people happy sometimes. Other people might feel that they need the most of something, or they need the absolute, top rated, whatever it is. And sometimes it's just important to just take one thing at a time and enjoy every moment of it.
And I feel again that this is something that when we connect with even the belief or the notion of less is more, it can bring up a lot of stuff for us, whether it be like feeling that, like, let's say, for example, if you're self-employed, right? Like if you say, well, less is more, you can say, well, how are the expenses going to be taken care of, right? Or if you say, okay, I'm just going to put the brake on a little bit, pump the brakes, as the expression goes, you can just wonder, well, how is everything going to get taken care of? That the to-do list will become the even more to-do list kind of thing. And when you take the time to slow down, follow what Ferris Bueller had to say, because he was darn tootin', he was right about that. When you take the time to slow down, you're more present. You're more present with everything, and thus you can do more you can end up having more of the doing and the being, as the expression goes. That is right, little Forrest. You completely agree with me on that. One of the things that we talked about recently, we had the opportunities here at PR from the Heart to be able to be a part of Seasons Readings, which was the large children's author storytime panel discussion event out here in San Diego, featuring 4 of the top children's authors in the country. And we were talking about the importance of presence, Presence, versus presence, Presents. Especially this holiday season, that really is the ultimate gift that we can give, is just being there for ourselves, being there for our loved ones, whatever that necessarily looks like, sounds like, and feels like for you. I'm really curious to get your thoughts about this as well. Tying into the message of simplicity and the simple scoop, why do you feel that it's necessary for us to be able to just spend more time focusing on what we're currently enjoying in the moment versus just getting that next thing, whatever that may be.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I was getting prepared to be a father, I read books and I watched videos on, what makes someone great and a great role model. And a lot of the time, and most of the articles and most of the videos that I watched were saying it's so important to be present in the moment with that,
Mm.
and that life happens quickly. I think it's for me, it's crazy that, we have all these newborn clothes and now he's outgrown them. And it's just like, oh my God, you blink and he's already, that much bigger. And that was kind of my motivation to write this, is because it talks about being present in the moment, taking things slow, and really trying to cherish every moment, whether you're, just enjoying a smile between the two of you, or you're recording something that he's doing. You have that to kind of look back on. And that's, the big part of it is just really being present with something, because it could be, it could happen very, very quickly, and you could blink and it's gone.
Mm-hmm. And this is why, and I appreciate you sharing more about, because one of the things that I really admire about you in the short time that we've had the opportunity to be working together to this particular point and knowing one another, I can tell that you're a great dad. And that's one of the
Yeah.
things that I aspire to. That is one of the things that will be happening for me. I'm starting off by being a dog dad first, to figure it's easier taking care of a furry friend than an actual human life, because then it's kind of like practice for when, the
Right.
when the human actually arrives, so to speak.
Yeah.
We always love to be able to provide some tangible support for our listeners and viewers, our fellow friends and neighbors, and of course, our fellow shining stars as well. Got to make that clear. Many people during the holidays can forget what truly matters. In many respects, we can make the simple things more complex. Maybe not just it, maybe it's not intentional, maybe it's subconscious. What are some of the things that you feel can help? Some things that you can suggest that for those who are in the midst of the hustle and bustle of the holidays, and they're saying, Peter, John, I'm having difficulty slowing down. I'm having difficulties finding the simple joys of life. What are some things that you can suggest, whether it be some tips, just some simple things that have worked for you, so that people can just take the time to ground, be present more, and to be able to enjoy not just the holidays, but 2024 is going to be an exciting year, and you have to be able to enjoy every single moment along the way. So what comes to mind that you would like to be able to share in the process on that?
I think during the holidays especially, but even, during the months there's no major holiday and there's no, celebration or anything like that. But I think for me and my family is finding small activities to do. During the holidays, for example, you kind of, a simple thing is to just go out and try to look at the Christmas lights and see what the city or the town has displayed in their area, what other people, what your neighbors are, how your neighbors are decorating their houses. And, for us, it's doing that. Plus, we always like to go on small walks. Especially here when we got snow and it's about probably 30 degrees outside right now, no matter the temperature, on Thanksgiving and Christmas, we always try to take the time to do, those small activities. Another thing is just surrounding yourself with people you enjoy being with and you love, whether it's friends, family, coworkers, whoever. And just that having that connection and that conversation between people is extremely important. And you feel just so much better about being where you are at that present moment. And then another thing is giving back in some way. And there's many different ways to do this, whether it's, volunteering your time, donating to a local charity or organization, sending out Christmas cards to people. Those are a couple different ways to give back in some ways. And I think that's kind of the big piece of it too, is giving back is a great feeling. And sometimes you don't know it until it actually happens, giving that donation, volunteering a little bit of your time, doing something nice for someone. It really does make you feel great, very, very quickly. And it kind of encourages you to keep going with it. So those are a couple of different things that are very simple to do and don't require a whole lot of action, but it can be a really rewarding and pleasant feeling.
I'm really glad that you shared all of those, especially from the thread of giving back, because you don't necessarily know what someone is moving through, especially during the holidays. This is when things can tend to be a little bit more amplified, emotions, feelings, experiences. There are people that are not necessarily having a holly and jolly Christmas. It may be the exact opposite of that. So even just keeping something simple to the point of giving a smile to someone, or giving someone a hug, or a nice bowl of soup. One of the things that I love, Pete, is that and I've experienced this when I've gone to different churches where you have soup potlucks. I remember seeing that, I think, for the first time. I think it was like the fall of 2015. I was invited to a soup potluck and I saw like 8 different kinds of soup. And I said, my gosh. I said, Peter, well, not at the time, Peter, but now I said, like, this is one of the most incredible things ever. Like community, fellowship, 8 different kinds of soups. Sign me up. So if soup necessarily isn't your thing and ice cream is, then again, we've got a sweet treat for you. We encourage all of you to be able to head on over to Amazon.com. Be sure to get your copy of The Simple Scoop. Leave a 5-star review. One of the many ways that you can pledge your support for Peter is by leaving a 5-star review for The Simple Scoop to let him know that he's doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books, as well as to purchase your copy of The Zipper that is now available through BarnesandNoble.com as well too. As we begin to wind down our time here, Peter, what are some of the, especially tied into the messages of both of your books, parents, caregivers, grandparents, educators, for this holiday season? What are some words of support, words of encouragement that you want to be able to share for those who are saying, okay, you know what, I've moved through a health challenge, a la what is contained in The Zipper. I really want to do my part to simplify my life. What would be just something or several words of encouragement that you would like to be able to share? What is it that you want people to take away from both of your stories?
Yeah, that I mean, 2 very different topics, but both very important. And I think the general message for both of them is that things can be better no matter really what's going on in the situation, whether it's stress, some sort of medical diagnosis or condition. It's always important to have a positive outlook on certain things. I mean, for example, in The Zipper, trying to gain confidence back is such an important thing, and something that I struggled with for such a long time, and at times still do. But I mean, it's always trying to think positively about a certain situation and trying to make the most of those situations, whether it is, can be a stressful time in life. And same with The Simple Scoop is, those stressful moments will get better. Take your time, take it slow, and just kind of learn from that present moment to make it hopefully a better situation and a better outcome for yourself and for the people around you.
Those are words that we can all lean into even more so during the holiday season. And little Forrest wants me to remind all of you that, if you remember back in the 80s and 90s, the beloved movie critic duo Siskel and Ebert, when they loved a movie, they gave 2 thumbs up. When little Forrest loves a children's book, he gives 2 paws up. And Forrest, if you can give me back my hand here, so to speak, I can kind of give the 2 paws up. As little Forrest is just playing with some of his toys here, he has given 2 paws up to both The Zipper as well as The Simple Scoop. He's thoroughly enjoyed both stories in the process, and he always loves being a little rambunctious when he does find a children's book that he thoroughly enjoys as well too. One of the things that we do when we close out a children's book spotlight series, Peter, is we take the time to remember a favorite neighbor, Mr. Rogers. And he did this in many respects during his time on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood when he received his Lifetime Achievement Award as well, most specifically at the Daytime Emmys. And when he also spoke across the country, and he spoke at different colleges and universities and just different talks wherever he went. And he always kept the time, whether it be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or a full minute. He encouraged all of us to remember those who helped love us into being. And that was his way of saying, remember those earth angels that came across our path who wanted us to say, slow down, have fun, savor life, don't take things way too seriously. Those people, when we were moving through challenges, that they were there for us. Who are some of the people that you would like to publicly recognize here on episode number 191 of the Children's Book Spotlight series that helped love you? Peter Schnell into VA?
It's probably going to sound a little cliche, but my mom and my dad, you know, they were the ones that kind of just, especially how I got motivated to write the zipper. They were the ones that found out about, the heart condition and kind of following up on that, and were incredibly supportive throughout that challenging time. That I was so young that I really don't remember a whole lot. I think I remember a few bits and pieces, but I mean, without their support and without their love and encouragement, and dedication to making sure I'm as happy as I can be, I probably wouldn't have been able to do it. So I'm, giving a shout out to my mom and my dad.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, of course, sharing some, bringing in your partner and your son as well, too. Like, you really have an amazing support system. And I know, Forrest, you really love support systems as well, too. They're so important to be able to have in life. We always love to be able to, in the process, encourage the fact that we know in our hearts that we have the abilities to bring our dreams, our desires, our goals, our ambitions. We have the ability to bring our wishes to life, to fulfill our wishes. Isn't that right, little guy? That's right. You had in your heart a dream to be able to pen multiple children's books, and they're now a reality. In many respects, you're encouraging, whether it be authors to be, or people just who are tuning in who want to be able to do something that maybe they didn't think was possible. And so based on that, we are huge Disney buffs here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series. We go back to the year 1992. It was a great year. I was 11, I think, at that point in time. We remember the late Robin Williams. We remember the Disney beloved classic Aladdin. And of course, we remember the Genie of the Lamp. And so we, of course, close out all Children's Book Spotlight Series episodes, especially with first-time guests, with a little segment that we like to call Three Wishes. That Genie lamp has racked up as much mileage as our trolley here at the Children's Book Spotlight Series, Peter. You have given freely to not even just your family, but now to children, parents, families across the country and around the world. So this is your time to receive. You are being given three wishes here on episode number 191 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. What would those three wishes be? I think the only automatic disqualifiers, you can't ask for more wishes, and you can't have someone fall in love with you. But everything else, I believe, is pretty much fair game according to the Genie of the Lamp.
I think the first one is wishing happiness to my family, to my son, my wife, extended family. That's a huge, important thing to me, is making sure that they're happy. Oh, man. The second one is, continuing to find passions in life that come across my way. I kind of seem to go off in different directions with things, and I find, a lot of hobbies, and it's always fun to learn from, what I come across. And so I kind of just wish myself more passions and more things to learn about, and to continue to develop certain skills. The third one, I would say, it's tough to think about this on the spot. The third one, it would be to learn more about the world, I think, for myself. I haven't really traveled too much in life, and that's something that I want to continue to do, and continue to, whether it's just in the US or to different countries, I have a goal and a wish to be able to see some different places in the world.
I love that. And it's always been said that when those wishes come from your heart, they have a greater chance of coming true. And we are excited. We always like giving sneak previews of things to come on forthcoming things that we are doing here at PR from the Heart. And of course, every year, and this is something that we thoroughly enjoy doing, there are so many children's books that are out in the world. There's so many amazing children's authors. At the end of every year, we have the opportunities to do something very special. And in fact, you know what? We're actually, sometimes we're good with surprises and sometimes we're not. But of course, what we are going to be doing is within the next couple of days, exclusively at PR from the Heart and via our social media platforms, we will be sharing the top 10 empowering reads of 2023. And I guess we're kind of peeling the veil back just a little bit, because of course we know that the top empowering reads of 2023 will be featuring the best children's books of the year from the top award-winning and best-selling children's authors who are published with the larger publishing houses and those shining stars who are on the rise in the kidlit community. So, Peter, congratulations. On behalf of the entire team at PR from the Heart, The Simple Scoop has made the top 10 empowering reads of 2023. And this is, I always give good feelings because this is a very prestigious thing that we always roll out at the end of every year. And sometimes I'm good with surprises, sometimes I'm not. but congratulations. How does this make you feel?
It's great. I mean, I again wrote The Simple Scoop for my son, and it's good to have some recognition in that, and knowing that it's well written, I think, and the good illustrations, and which I take credit to for my illustrator, Serenity Quinn, and it's an amazing feeling for that. So I appreciate that, and thank you.
You're most certainly welcome. Well, the rest of you are going to have to stay tuned, because during the week of December the 7th, actually the week of December the 18th, the week right before Christmas, is when we are going to be announcing and making this entire list public. So stay tuned to our official website, prfromtheheart.com, as well as our social media platforms, to see which of the other 9 top empowering reads make the list of top empowering reads of 2023. Raise your hand if you have had fun on episode number 191 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. We see hands from myself, we see hands from Peter, we see paws up from little Forrest, who is kind of like the wild man of Borneo, as the expression goes here, while we're enjoying our closing moments together. There are many more magical trolley stops to come. But first things first, as we hear the trolley's reminding us, when we hear that, we know that it's time to go. But if these messages that we have shared here on episode number 191 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series, if they have brought more joy into your heart, that's the reason for the season in many respects, is the joy that we love to be able to feel. If you feel that these messages that we've shared need to be shared with someone or someone in need, we encourage you to subscribe to PR from the Heart's official YouTube channel and to share this very special trolley stop that you have been enjoying. That is episode number 191 of the Children's Book Spotlight Series on your favorite social media platforms of your choosing. And again, the support by subscribing to PR from the Heart's YouTube channel really means a lot to us here at PR from the Heart as well. If you are a children's author and you wish to be able to share your inspiring story and the release of your brand new children's book on a forthcoming edition of the Children's Book Spotlight Series in 2024, as we turn the page almost to the brand new year that is, as we are counting down to our 200th episode of the Children's Book Spotlight Series. If you wish to join us on the program in the brand new year, head on over to our official website, prfromtheheart.com, or you can connect with us via any of our social media platforms that you now see on screen. Facebook, Instagram, and of course the artist formerly known as Twitter, that is X, in the process. If you are also a children's author and wish to be able to have your message take flight, 2024 is going to be the very best year for children's authors all across the country and all around the world. And when you have your book and you want to be able to share it with the world, it always helps that you have a supportive team that is with you and beside you. If you are wishing to create a book media tour in a city of your choosing, a national book media tour, or simply 1 or 2 featured television interviews, let us see how we can be of service to you. You can head on over to our official website, prfromtheheart.com, and schedule your courtesy connection call. And again, let us see how we can be of service to you. One final time, we encourage all of you to be able to head on over to barnesandnoble.com to purchase your copy of Peter Schnell's The Zipper, in addition to The Simple Scoop that is now available through amazon.com. You can leave 5-star reviews at both barnesandnoble.com and amazon.com, because that will let Peter know that he is doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and for those who love great children's books. And of course, for all of the educators across the country who want to be able to connect with Peter to be able to schedule author school visits for the brand new year, you can do that by heading over to Peter's official website, peterschnellauthor.com. And for all of you, our fellow listeners, viewers, friends, and neighbors, and shining stars, stay connected with Peter on social media, as we've included his social media platforms below. But again, we hear the trolley. That means that it is time to go. Lastly, before we close things out, we, of course, want to bring back in the spirit of one of our favorite neighbors, well, truly our favorite neighbor, Mr. Rogers. He reminded us in many respects of our inherent worth and our inherent value. And he did that in many respects by his own private numerology, by the weight that he was. Now, you might be wondering, well, what did Mr. Rogers weigh? What was his weight when he was here living on planet Earth? Well, 143 pounds. Interestingly enough, there's 1 letter in I, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. And that was his way, in his own way, of reminding us that he loves us, that we are worthy of our own love, that he sees our inherent worth in the process. And we are being reminded, as Peter was very kind to be able to join us here this week, we share our 3 favorite numbers of 2, 4, 3, because there's 2 letters in we, 4 letters in love, 3 letters in you. That is our reminder that we like you, that we love you just the way that you are whole, healthy, complete, just the way that you are, that we see you, we feel you, we understand you, and that you're doing a fantastic job, especially during the holiday season and beyond. We want to thank all of you for your continued support of PR from the Heart, for your continued support of the Children's Book Spotlight series as we're enjoying our holiday season celebration, for your continued support of children's authors and illustrators such as Peter Schnell, who again are doing wonderful and much needed work for children, parents, families, educators, and those who love great children's books, for the pillars of our community, local libraries, children's and independent bookstores who are truly making a difference in the lives of our children. And above all else, we want to thank you for helping us to walk home, the children of the world. So for little Forrest, for Peter Schnell, for myself, John Masiulionis, thank you for spending some time with us here in our neighborhood, for enjoying episode number 191 of the Children's Book Spotlight series. And until we see you for our next magical trolley stop once again, thank you for helping us to walk home the children of the world, our fellow friends, our fellow neighbors, and our fellow shining stars. Goodbye for now.